Bobby McMann.
Bobby McMann is going to the Seattle Kraken. I don't have the full picture yet, but they snuck that one under the wire. So we'll figure out what that is, what that's going to all look like. I assume picks, but he's going to be a member of the Seattle Kraken.
Wow. Okay. Pending UFA. It's going to be an interesting night in Seattle tomorrow. Warren Foegele with the Ottawa Senators. Jordan Eberle's re-signs, the captain there. And now Bobby McMann off to the Seattle Kraken, Dave.
All right, we like that. We like to hear that there is some movement. As we said, there's going to be hopefully a smattering of trades that happen over the next 10, 15 minutes. Bobby McMann, 29-year-old UFA, 19 goals this year, 17 of them even strength. And Jason Botterill and the executive group in Seattle said that's our McMann, I guess. So what do you make of the whole situation? We don't know what their turn is, so it's hard to evaluate. But the idea, what can McMann bring to the Seattle Kraken?
To Seattle. We talked to Jordan Eberle earlier, and he talked about some of the adversity the team had faced throughout this season, but they've always turned it around. But the one common sort of thread has been, do they have enough offense? Do they have enough of that skill? Well, McMann, right? We talked about that throughout the day. Here's a player, thinking about the style overall of the Kraken, they also like to play a fast game. Well, Bobby McMann, he can play a north-south game where he can get up, he can join the odd man rush, create a nice 2-on-1, and he's got some nice finish at times as well. So when you're looking at the top 6 for the Seattle Kraken, there's room for Bobby McMann and fits in nicely to the way that the Kraken like to play.
Simple player, plays in straight lines. My only problem with him would be his consistency. I think watching him here in Toronto over time, he has a tendency to just, I don't want to say disappear for a while, but he'll go through these real cold slumps. But when he's hot, he's hot. And speed-wise, foot speed-wise, literally, statistically, there are only a couple players that keep up with McDavid, and Bobby McMann is one of those guys, one of the fastest up-and-down players in the NHL. I think he helps Seattle Shockingly.
Yeah, he's got their fastest speed burst for the season for this year. I'm interested to hear on Biz's opinion. Like, he is a guy, he's played on the first line, second line, third line, fourth line for the Leafs. He can go up and down the lineup. I think he's a very, like, at his best, he's up and down, super physical, and then he's got a little bit of a scoring touch. But I wouldn't say he's like, let's see what Elliot has to say.
Preach.
So we've got, sorry, we were going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to get what else is going on in St. Louis.
Yeah, so Justin Faulk is going to Detroit. So
Ooh, okay. The eyes are playing.
I think at the end, the Red Wings had a choice. It was either going to be Rasmus Ristolainen or it was going to be Justin Faulk. And at the end of the day, they took Faulk. So I just got to get the full picture, but that's where we are.
All right. There it is. Thank you, guys. All right, the 32 Thoughts desk brought to you by your local Toyota dealer has Justin Faulk moving over to the Detroit Red Wings. You guys wanted Steve Yzerman to be active. First, let's put a bow on the McMann. You've been saying don't sell. Okay.
I'm going to save everybody's brain cells. I'll just keep my opinion to myself.
Don't like that, eh?
I want to see what the return was.
Yeah, we do need to get context. We definitely need the return.
I can't really put a bow on it, but I'm sad to see him go. I thought he was a great Leaf and represented the community unbelievable. And hey, he can go to Seattle, and maybe they ended up working something out in the offseason to bring him back.
You like him? That's
I
good.
like Bobby. I like Bobby.
You know who else is happy?
Yeah.
Larkin. Because Larkin wanted help last year. He got help. This guy, he's helped.
So, yeah, let's talk about Faulk because he has 1 year left. He's not a rental either. 1 year left. He's that right-handed defenseman.
Heavy shot.
A 15-team no trade. Won a cup, I believe, in St. Louis as well, right, in 2019. So what do you did he win it? He did, right? He was a part of that.
I don't know. Ask Cat knows yourself.
Yeah, okay.
We're just throwing cups around. Like, everyone's got a cup.
But what is he at? So, Kevin, what does he bring?
He's a right-hand shot D, like you said. He's a power play guy. He shoots the puck. He's got a great one-timer. He blocks shots. He's a top 4 defenseman his whole career. Like, he's been higher earlier in his career. He's been lower. But he's a guy he's got experience. You think about, like, Detroit, like, it's a heavy Mo Seider team. Right? Seider plays a ton in every situation. Edmondson plays a ton. Sherratt plays a ton. So now you have him in the top 4. You got 2 righties, you got 2 lefties, you got minute munchers. But I'm curious if Elliott's got anything else.
Yeah, and actually this one's relevant to you, Kevin, because it's someone you're friendly with. Ryan Strome, who I've not been playing a ton in Anaheim. He's going to the Calgary Flames. And we're just checking all the returns right now. It's coming in fast and furious, but Strome is going to the Flames.
All right, so, all right, thanks so much. The 32 Thoughts Desk brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. Elliot and Kyle working fast and furiously, and Ryan Strome from Anaheim. And again, he had sort of not fallen out of favor, but just fallen out of ice time with all the burgeoning young players there.
The problem was he was hurt at the start of the season, and all these young guys got going, like Beckett, Seneca, and they got going. And then, you know, when you're injured and you try to get back in the lineup and the team's going, it's tough. So I think he was looking probably for a move where he could be like, he's got 900 games, be that experienced guy who can help a younger team. And you look at Calgary, and then I already said the Farabees and the Frosts and the Coronados. Here's a good, experienced veteran guy with, you know, could be a good mentor.
32 years of age, 1 year remaining on his deal as well. So again, not a lot of rentals, not a lot of these UFAs. It's been a lot of, hey, let's sign guy or let's bring in guys with term. Again, we're waiting to see what some of the return is on these deals. Biz, let me ask you, what would make you happy as a clear Leaf booster in the McMann return? What do you realistically want to see in return?
I think realistically, if you were able to get a second rounder, that's probably around where it's going to end up. And just hopefully Seattle's that desperate where they ended up getting a conditional first. I mean, we're going to get word on that later. But, yeah, but hey, you got to do what you got to do, right?
You get cap relief, though, is what you get. You get potentially $5 million off the cap next year that you would have had to pay him.
Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't have paid him that much if you think that that's what he's going to end up making.
4 to 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5. But also another thing, as Bukala mentioned, like they don't have really any prospects. They don't have a ton of picks, so they got to replenish in some areas. So I guess I understand it. That's the nature of the beast. But we'll see. I mean, we still got to find out when are we going to find out what the return is, Elliot? Yeah.
Ooh. Highest is a second.
Okay, thank you, Elliot. Okay, I'll be nice to Elliot.
Hey, and good for
Need a cup of
Strome
coffee
too.
That's what I mean. It's
All
nice.
he wanted to do
Hold on,
was play.
Spursy.
I think at the end of the day, and he goes to a spot where he can be a good mentor, be a good veteran there, and at the end of the day, he can play a ton of minutes.
Sorry to interrupt, Luke. I just want to say I'm hearing through Elliot to our producer, to you guys, a second and a fourth is what we're hearing for Bobby McMann. So 2 picks, also 2 picks in the Nick Waugh deal. So, you know, in accumulation, Brad Treliving getting some work done. There's still a few other names that possibly could go, not just there, but on other teams as well. So let the record show, we sat here for 5 hours. There was 5 trades, and in the last 5 minutes, there's been 3 trades. So don't touch that
We're
dial.
having fun. We're having fun.
Well, now we're getting some juice
I'm
happening.
interested to hear what Books and those guys and Fuchs think about that type of return.
Should we throw it to them?
I'm just saying, like, they're so much more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to that stuff. I mean, Fuchs has two Stanley Cups, not a big deal. So they were the guys I was kind of going towards at dinner the other night for delegation on these types of things.
But don't you feel like during our chats throughout the day, McMahon, haven't most of us come to the conclusion a second round is probably where... I mean, I know we threw out the idea of a first round. That would be ideal, but I think we all sort of agreed that second is probably where it would land.
Especially because the expiring contract. Like, get something back.
Paul Bissonette, an analyst and a producer. We are going to go to the strategy room.
Hey, there we go.
Let's hear from Fuchs and the gentlemen. Sam, over to you, my friend.
Yeah, nice work, Biz. All right, so Bobby McMann, he fetches a second and a fourth. The Toronto Maple Leafs, we know that the cupboards are bare there. That's the second such trade in which they've made, in which they've been able to acquire 2 picks. Thoughts?
I think it's at this stage of the game, it's a good pickup. I mean, they've got to do something clearly. And again, the question mark we don't know with like the Lawton issue or with this is there a chance they've come to an agreement and he's got a deal sitting in the pocket and he's going to come back, which makes it an exceptional deal. But we just don't know. At this stage of the game, obviously, there are other teams that weren't willing to bite. We know that the contract was looking at 5 times 5, which might scare some teams off. But Seattle need to do something. You know, that's a good thing. Good to see the team. We haven't been talking about them a lot, and that's probably something they're not happy about. But, you know, he's got a good spot. He's a good player, but they got something back. They had to come out with something more than the Nicholas Roy deal.
Yeah, I agree. Books, what
it's
are
all
your
about
thoughts?
filling up the grid, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, right now they don't have a first yet, Toronto. Maybe something else will come down the pipeline here at the very last moment. But now they put in motion a second, and I'm curious to see what the fourth is because Seattle does own the New York Rangers' 4th-round pick, which is essentially a late third. It's going to be very early in the 4th. So let's see what the return is there. But selfishly, that's what I would like it to be. Unselfishly, it's going to be extra draft capital, and this is exactly what they had to do. So this is good news. They need more swings, guys. They need to keep adding layers of prospects in the organization and not just chase guys with money.
The other part of that is when you think about, players, they don't tank. They're not worried about the future and draft picks and that sort of thing. But as a general manager, you can have some sort of impact. And if you take away a player who has scored for you traditionally, well, now that puts you in a situation where it's going to be more difficult to score, more difficult to win games. And now you get into that top 5 conversation, okay? We talk about the Brandon Carlo. Minton goes the other way. The first round is only top 5 protected. It makes Toronto, I think, in a better position to finish even lower and increase their chances of staying inside that top 5. And that could be a very impactful player, Books, as you well know, this draft class.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they could land in the top 5, it would be absolutely ideal. You look at, for me, my lines in the sand, lines in the sand is, we got at the top Stenberg, and then we get into McKenna, Verhoff, but Caleb Maholcher right up the street here playing for the Brantford Bulldogs. He's a centerman that I believe is going to be a top of the table NHL centerman. So lots to like if that happens. They're ways away from that yet, but the way they've been trending, you never know.
Yeah, well, when you take away a score, it does help that situation, no question. David?
All right, thank you, gentlemen, in the strategy room. And we're waiting for maybe a little bit more to trickle in here as we wind down Hockey Central Trade Deadline presented by Bet365.